Hello and welcome to episode 7 of our 7-part Trachoma Live series. My name's Lien, Trinh. I'm the project manager for EndTrachoma by 2020. Now, if you've missed any of our videos so far, they are still available on our Facebook page. You just need to click onto our Facebook page, EndTrachoma by 2020, and go to the video section, and you'll be able to find all the videos that we posted on our Facebook page there. Alternatively, they are available also on our website, www.endtrachoma.org.au, EndTrachoma 2020, I should say, .org.au. Now, you've heard this week about trachoma, about the fact that it is the world's leading cause of infectious blindness, almost exclusively a disease of poverty, a disease that affects communities in developing countries. Now, Australia is the last developed country in the world where this disease still persists, and we can do something about this. Unfortunately, it persists in our least advantaged communities, our remote Indigenous Australians. You've heard from the World Health Organization, from Dr. Anthony Solomon, about they're leading the effort to eliminate trachoma from the world globally. They've endorsed the SAFE strategy, surgery and antibiotics to treat the active causes of infection and blindness, and facial cleanliness and environmental improvements to prevent recurrence of the infection. Those are very important interventions, and I'll talk a bit about where we're focusing our efforts in the whole picture of trachoma in Australia. There are a number of government and non-government organisations who have been working in this space for a very long time now, and we have now a very short time frame to eliminate trachoma by. That's by the year 2020. We've joined this alliance of organisations to make history in Australia. It's a mosaic where everyone is playing a different role. Some have played a huge role in the surgical interventions, in mass antibiotic distributions, but there's a huge scope in environmental improvements and education that needs to be filled, this void. And this is where Rotary is going to play a part. We're working with government health departments, particularly in the space of environmental health. We're working with Indigenous eye health. We've had conversations with the Fred Hollows Foundation, Vision 2020 Australia, and importantly, we're working with Aboriginal community-based organisations. Now, what are our projects focused on? They're focused on working with communities. They're focused on understanding how each individual community works and thinks, and hopefully incorporating sanitation awareness into their own community aspirations so that infectious diseases such as trachoma no longer exist. It's important, I think, to understand that there are several hundred community Aboriginal groups across Australia. Now, what that means is that they are as diverse as the Europeans are in Europe. It means that they're as different to each other as the French are from their neighbouring Spaniards, from their neighbouring Italians, from their Germans and their Finnish and their Swedish. They are very different peoples, and we need to respect this and understand this in order to work effectively with them. So our support is not a package of single interventions. It's not an approach that is a single blanket approach. It is multiple approaches which will differ depending on the community that we work with. Every single one of our projects will begin as pilot projects, and this is to ensure that when we do come time to evaluate them, that hopefully they will have made a positive impact, and if not, that we constantly improve where our resources are directed to. Now, you've heard about some of our projects: the mirrors in all homes, face washing towels, washing machines that are manual, that people will be able to use out in remote communities. They're just some of the approaches that we have taken with some of our stakeholders down on the ground. We're looking into replacing taps that need to be, that have been broken, placing taps in areas such as sport and rec centres that don't have access to water. We're looking at a whole suite of sanitation approaches in community, because to reduce or prevent the spread of infection, we cannot look at just one single approach that can clean faces for people, we need to look at the whole suite of hygiene approaches. Now, many of you ask, where are we working? We're working across 3 states and territories, the trachoma endemic regions there. So we have remote communities in Western Australia, we have remote communities in South Australia and in Central Australia in the Northern Territory. We work by invitation and we work hopefully to community aspirations. Another question that has often popped up is why might this project succeed? Because there has been a lot of work in this remote Indigenous space, but I truly believe that we're living in this age that where we're more accessible to each other than ever before. In fact, I'm connecting with quite a number of people right now, and I don't remember an age where this would have been possible. Now, Rotary is a community of networks, but quite frankly, I think in Australia we could do with a little bit more connecting. And so far, this project has been this great vehicle for connection. I've been able to connect with Josephine Barnes from far north Queensland, Rotary Club of Atherton up there, right down to the southernmost part of Australia, down in Hobart, down in Warragul in Victoria with Sally Dell, and then across west to Western Australia with Bruce Dufty, and across to the east coast with Ian Dyball, for instance, in Taree. And then I've also been able to connect with Rotarians in Alice Springs, in the heart of trachoma endemic regions there. So you can see how this project is beginning to unite Rotary clubs around Australia, Rotary clubs who are very aware of the issues that we have in our remote Indigenous communities, in some of the most marginalised and poor populations in our country. And all these clubs have this interest in supporting our remote Indigenous Australians, and we're mobilising these forces, which is just an incredible effort. But the other thing that we're doing, we're not only connecting Rotarians, we're connecting the projects that they support as well. Now, the projects that they support that are related to remote Indigenous Australians is an integral part to our collaborations, because we don't want to duplicate any efforts, but we want to maximise the effect, the impact of these projects, and if we work together, we can do that. Now, the issue of trachoma might seem remote to many of you, and truly it is. It exists remotely. I wasn't exposed to it until I actually went out to remote communities and worked there, and I assure you that many Australians will never know trachoma, which is great, but it is a problem that exists in our community, in our own country, and we now have the opportunity to do something about it, and it is through this project that you can do something about it as well. Environmental health is a huge area, and we need your support. We need funding to kick off the pilot projects, to continue their evaluations, to roll out other projects that the communities develop themselves. And we need the resources there ready to go when the communities call upon them. So it's really important that you get into what Rotary does best. Do your fundraising initiatives, raise those funds, donate them to our donation page. You'll be able to find that on our website, www.endtrachoma2020.org.au /donate. Look, if you're not a Rotarian and you want to support the project, I would love your donations as well. But better still, you know what, join your local Rotary club so that you can mobilise forces from your local community, mobilise a huge action, mobilise a bigger action, create a bigger impact by doing that. Now, I might hand the last word over to Ian Riseley, the Rotary International President of 2017-2018. He has a hectic schedule, and so sometimes it is impossible to get in touch with him, but because he has so much support for this project, he has actually been able to put some time aside to record a message for you, which I am all too pleased and honoured to play today for you. Thanks for joining us on Trachoma Live, and I'll give the last word to Ian Riseley.
Hello, I'm Ian Riseley, and I have the honour and privilege of being President of Rotary International for 2017-18. This year has gone flying past, And I'm extremely fortunate to have had the support of Rotary clubs and districts around the world in the initiatives that I've introduced. Thanks to all of you for joining me in making a difference through Rotary this year. Rotary has been very active in Australia since it started here in 1921, when the first clubs were formed, starting with the Rotary Club of Melbourne. Australian Rotarians have a great record of success in creating programs that have been adopted by Rotary clubs right around the world, and other programs that have made a real difference in our own country of Australia. We have a lot to be proud of in Australian Rotary. To celebrate the centenary of Rotary in Australia, a project has been launched to eliminate the disease trachoma from our country. Australia is the only developed nation where trachoma still exists, and that, frankly, is not to our credit. The disease is confined to the Aboriginal community and is closely linked to problems with hygiene. It's quite possible to eradicate this disease, and I congratulate the project team for recognising the problem and for taking it on. Success will be a gift to Australian society in recognition of the centenary of Rotary in Australia and an inspiration to the rest of the world. By the way, I think eliminating an eye disease by 2020 is a great play on words and very catchy. My fellow Australian Rotarians, this great project needs your help. You'll hear from the project leaders about what they need from you to make this objective a reality, and I urge you to give it your full support. I'm a supporter, and I ask you to be one as well. Join us to end trachoma by 2020. It will be a proud achievement by Rotary in Australia.